to the Adderley podcast. My name is Kristen.
My name is Phoebe.
And I'm Candy.
We are excited to be here.
Yeah.
Episode
Three.
Okay, episode
Depending
1 was
on
an
how
introduction.
you're counting, it could be 3, it could be 2.
Okay, yeah.
Episode
Let's say
3. Segment, like topic 2.
Episode
Okay.
3, topic 2. Cool.
Okay.
We already introduced ourselves in the previous episode, so
Watch that if you.
Yeah, if you haven't already.
and if you're watching this and you haven't yet subscribed, just do it
We are
and then
judging
proceed.
you. Yeah.
We're listening and
we
we're
are
judging you.
Cool. I have cough, guys. If I cough at some point, just allow. Cool. Today we're talking about, Candy, do you want to tell us?
Yes. We're talking about a very, very interesting topic, which is godly womanhood. Yes.
That sounds such a huge.
Yeah.
It's a very heavy thing.
like
We definitely won't be able
Yeah.
to cover everything, but we'll try. We'll do our best.
Well, yeah, we're going to do our best
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
this topic.
now we have learned. Episode 3 we've learned.
With with the wisdom the Lord has given, we
Yeah.
will try
Yeah.
to cover as much.
Cool. But before we get into it, what's your favorite thing about being a woman?
I'll let Phoebe go first. Mine is a bit shallow, and so I need to. I might need to adjust depending
What
on how
makes
deep
you think
Phoebe
mine
is.
is
You know, she's a deep
deep?
chick.
Lord.
I might say my nonsense, and she comes and says something really deep, and I don't have an opportunity
now
to
you've
switch.
said many things. Now I'm shy to say my things. Anyways, my favorite thing about being a woman is the accepted softness. Yeah, I had gone with softness, and then I was like, they're going to cancel me that you're saying men should be rough. This isn't about the men, but I like that we are accepted to be soft, and that's a power in itself. It's not a weakness. It's like our softness gets things done. We are able to do things with our emotions being on our fingertips, and it's accepted. Like, it's not, why are you being like that? Yeah.
All right.
On that, I like that if someone found me hugging you,
Oh yeah.
no one is going to be like, and yet you guys have that thing where
Yeah, they can't tell each other
they
I
feel-
love you. They put a black heart.
That's. You know what?
Yeah.
if they put a heart,
I had something in
Yes.
mind, but it has switched because that has to be my favorite
Yeah.
thing. The fact that I get to hug my girlfriends,
Yeah,
tell them
and
I
like
love
just-
you,
yeah.
just be
And it's
and
not awkward.
Be mushy,
like have like body contact with them. Like
Yeah.
if like you can, I was going to say something, but like some people might even find it weird for women to do that. But like you can cuddle with your girlfriends
Yeah.
and it's okay. Like it's not like no one is going to assume that
yeah.
you're subscribing
Yeah.
to the letters of the alphabet.
I remember there's a time we were in like a meeting. I think you were there, and my husband was there. I think with Jojo or something. I don't remember. I think I was with Friser as well,
Yes.
and I think she was leaving.
Yeah.
So we hugged, and she says, "Love you," and I say, "Love you too."
And they
then they
laugh.
laughed. They looked at each other and died.
Because
And
they
I was
could
like,
never
"Why?"
say
The
that.
love you is
And then-
only and on your birthday when it if
Let
it
me tell
comes.
no. Let me tell you the joke. So someone was like, tells Jojo, imagine me telling you I love you, and they died. Like the thought of it was so funny, and then so they had this thing where they were like, on your birthday I'm going to be like, love
I
you,
love
bro.
you, love
And
you, bro.
Even the thought of it was so funny. So now they have this running joke on each other's birthday. They say love you, bro, but with many emojis.
Emojis
because of how-
too.
It's so
And I'm like,
funny.
As if masking.
So I was like, but don't you
And make
love
it-
him?
right?
So why not
So don't
say
you
it?
say it?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's I like it.
Yeah.
That mine has switched to that, but the original one I would say is being a daughter. I think that as a woman I am a daughter. I'm a daughter of God, but I'm also a daughter of my parents, and I think that the experience of being a daughter is very unique. It's very nice. Like being my father's daughter is it's a lovely experience.
Yeah.
The fact that he watches out for you, he
Yeah.
provides. Like there are certain things that a son might not be able
True.
to get away with.
Yes.
that a daughter just
Yeah.
might. You get. So I think being a daughter is one of the things that
Just
it's
to
real up there for me.
to add to my answer, I was thinking about the different women in the Bible, and their experiences with Jesus was soft and intimate. Like she's at his feet with her hair, she's crying, and it's like no one cringes at it because it's like a woman, and I'm allowed to do that with God. Men should do that. I really think they should, but
They don't want to.
it's I guess another episode on another podcast where they talk about.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite, apart from what you guys said, one of my favorite things about being a woman is, I want to call it attention to detail, but maybe not so much that it's mixed with being extra and so much attention. Sometimes I know it can be like a disadvantage, and I think it's a gift that God has given us, and I like to embrace it. Like, you see, if say there are guests coming over, I am obviously the one who's like, this couch is not straight. This thing wasn't picked up.
Our host on our first episode shoot.
She see how she was all over the place.
She was definitely giving attention to detail.
She almost sent for new couches.
Someone will be coming over and my husband just like, oh yeah, cool, and then he'll just come and then just like,
the place needs to be fixed.
But you see,
do we have what to feed them?
I'm not mad at him for that because it's just
you know, like it's not
but me as a
intentional.
babe, there's that attention that I have
to them,
certain things that I think is nice. I feel like it creates a nice balance. If no one was ever paying attention to anything, it would be well, of course. And also like being extra, like we're allowed to be extra. You think of it, I thought about it when the time I was getting married, the weeks leading to my introduction, I was all over town in those arcades, arcade after arcade, because of how many outfits. Then
and yet you're among those that don't even wear many
things. How many outfits? Oba who's going to the hair, Oba who's going to do what. Meanwhile, you come out for like 10 minutes
the shoes
in each
for
outfit.
The different outfits.
Samuel went sent for a kanzu.
He didn't even pick it.
It came. Then they measured for like his blazer. And like that's the most he did. He used some black pants he had and he was done. Like,
I'm judging you.
He was just chilling. But you see what else was he going to do?
Exactly.
Just needed a blazer, a kanzu. And then he went for a haircut. That was it. Me, woke up about what time? What for? Anti-hair, makeup. He woke up at a reasonable time. Kanzu takes like, I was like, oh my God. That must be nice. But then, for me, like when I look at my Snap memories now and I'm seeing like
it was
all that stuff,
it was
like,
worth it.
This is nice. We're getting ready. We're doing what? We're shopping. I feel like there's a joy that comes from it. That it's
and
hectic.
the beauty. Like just look at us here. There are like earrings. There is hair. There are so many things that you get to
fuss about.
Just
even in the next life, I love that.
Also, how wholesome our friendships are.
That's a top one.
Let's not go
but
back
I think
there.
I'd really like to hear like what other people enjoy about being like a woman, because there are women that like really enjoy like really different things. So
just in the comments, you tell us what's your favorite thing about being a woman. If you're a guy who's watching, it's okay.
You can
just say hi. No, you can just say hi.
Or you can say everything about women.
You
get. I saw a tweet where this guy was saying how his wife changed his life. Like she was like, can you imagine she knows how to fold fitted bed sheets? So you can tell us what your favorite thing is. So now getting into our topic, godly womanhood. What is that even? What is a godly woman? What does that look like? What do you think?
You wanna go first?
Yeah, sure. Okay. I don't think that we can fully cover who a godly woman is, because I think that just like God is God and he has many aspects and characteristics, and saying that women are part of the image of God, the way you can't list all of God's qualities, but they're there and there are many. I think that's the same for a woman. But I think for me in this present moment, godly womanhood, I'll just share from I think 1 Colossians 1:10, and it's a prayer that Paul makes for the believers, I think both men and women, but it is also a prayer that I make for myself that I believe reflects like a godly person, but even still a godly woman.
Yeah.
And I pray it for myself as well. And
First what?
Colossians.
Colossians.
Sorry, Colossians 1. Sorry, Colossians 1:10. Forgive me. Colossians 1:10, and it's part of Paul's prayer that you may walk worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing Him, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of God. I think that a godly woman is a woman who lives her life in a way that is worthy of the calling of God, and somebody who is fully pleasing to God, like pleasing in everything she does. Who God looks at him is like, I'm pleased with you. Like, I'm pleased with the way you walk, with the way you talk, with the way you treat others, with the way you love others, with the way you're of service. Someone who is pleasing to God. Someone who is fruitful, a woman who is fruitful in every good work, because true, we are not saved by good works, but we are saved to do good works. And last one, someone who is increasing in the knowledge of God. I think for every believer, and especially for a woman, the way God formed you can't be the way you remain. And I don't think there's one bar by which we will measure all women, or one piece of good work, like this one does this and this one does this. But in whatever you do, constantly increase in the knowledge of God, and that increase in the knowledge of God reflects in how you live your life. So provided, I think, you're better today than you were yesterday, and each and every day that you walk with the Lord, you're growing more in the knowledge of Him, and you're looking more and more like Him. That will look different for every woman, but I think that is what I would define as a godly woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine has a short definition, and these are two words: godly and a woman, because they're men who are godly, and then there are women who are not godly. So it's not a thing that comes as it's two words coming together. So first, who is a woman? One who was created by God as a woman. Simply, like, there is no extra detail to it. That's simply what it is. And to be godly is someone who is living. You know how the Bible says, "Be holy, just as God is holy, just as I am holy." So my definition of a godly woman was a woman who was created by God as a woman, living out their lives in submission to Christ with His righteousness and all the details in achieving holiness.
All right. Smart.
Yeah, I think when I was thinking about it, I was just like, man, a godly woman, one that knows God, is walking in obedience to Him and His word, and is being who God has called her to be. Because I recognize that the Bible says we're all created in the image of God.
True.
And what we learned recently is
the image of God.
The image of God. All of us have like when God told man that, when God said it was not okay for man to be alone, or else create in our own image.
It was not good.
Created man, and it's like the image is not yet.
It's not complete.
And then we have a representation of God's image that we are. That
we present.
Yes.
That we bring.
There's so like walking in that truth of like, this is who God has called me to be, and it's okay if it's different from the man. It's meant to be
different.
I think that we play different, like roles and whatnot.
We do.
And I think that's why the conversation of equality. I don't know if it's equality, but when say what a man can do, a woman can do, or whatever, like we're the same. I don't think it's true, because we're not the same.
God would have just made
one gender would just be genderless blobs, just like going through life. But there are things that are unique about a man and about a woman, and I think when as a woman you understand that and embrace it, it's quite beautiful when you think about it. It's also, I don't want to say easy, but it feels natural.
The thing is, what God created for you to do is natural for you.
Yeah.
You will never be, however good you get at what the other people do that is natural to them, it will never be yours. It will always be harder for you.
However, I think that naturalness might not always be the case, because I do believe that sin has distorted God's original picture. So I think that in a perfect world, it would be natural for everyone, but because of sin and what the world looks like right now, being a woman might not feel natural to some people. There's some people who be like, you understand what I'm saying? There's some people who might naturally be like, no, I feel like some different.
The
like this is what
is this.
Is this.
Yeah, that's a good.
So I think that
like
I
what?
wouldn't
Like what's it?
like, you know that you know that there are people that feel like, let's say like God created you as a woman and you feel
like a man.
Like naturally.
I just don't want to get into it.
Exactly. I don't want to get into it, but that is the reality.
Are you sure?
Yes, and I think just because we haven't experienced it doesn't mean it's not a reality for some people. Okay. And the fallenness of the world has distorted what is natural. Okay, and so I wouldn't even base a woman on what feels natural, because at the end of the day, how you feel about it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
Do you think that distorted feeling, like how, okay, I obviously do not know what that feels like to wake up and say I feel like I'm a man. Do you think it's a learned thing?
I think it's a corruption thing. When the corruption starts, it may have started when this person was way younger. So then they feel like this their whole lives. Now it's natural to them. Truth is, it's not what they were born with, but because of the fallenness of the environment they exist in, it's now what's more natural to them.
Yeah. I also just want to clarify. I think that there are some things that we have labeled for women that are not necessarily like, just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I love pink.
True.
Yeah, which
So I also acknowledge that there's some things that are not, that have been labeled girly, but I don't think God is the one who
designed them. Yeah,
and if
girly.
You're a girl and you don't have pink.
So I think, because me, so I feel like me, I know I'm a woman and I love it.
Yeah.
But I'm also, you guys know, I'm also not like completely.
These are her favorite colors. Yeah.
The ones on her shirt.
I'm also not completely girly. Like, you see how Phoebe is? When she walked in, I was just like, why?
Where are you going?
Where are you going? I think to my wedding, because that's when you might find me like this. You mate, you get. But that doesn't make me feel any less of a woman. I just like what I like.
Okay,
I like to do high energy activities. I like to zip line. Yeah. Like, you get that kind of stuff.
I think it even speaks to what you said earlier about the fact that yes, women are very unique and created uniquely different from men. However, women were also created uniquely different from each other.
Yeah, true.
I think there are a few general things, and I think those are things that the Bible has outlined for a woman to be. However, outside of that, I think God created each individual and each woman differently. And so I think that we should, one, desire to be who God has called us to be as women, but as individuals as well. Exactly. You know, because you uniquely, there's, and you display God's image in the way He created you, regardless of if you don't look like the next woman or if you don't act like
that's
her.
True.
And so I brought it up because like it has to be deeper than the superficial things or than likes, hobbies. Like it has to be deeper than that. So, and that's what I was saying, like the things I was saying, like it feels natural. It's beyond the
I feel like I like pink, or I
like construction work, which
and there are women who are great at construction work, but so it has to be like, so I guess it's to examine who has God designed women
to be.
Like what is the biblical or what's that design? Because now we are trying to get past the I like these, I like to do my nails, I like to, but
I really do
the bigger picture. I know. I also I was telling someone, you see my nails, I'm on a nail break for God knows how long. I have to be. But I was telling someone the other day, I'll be having a bad day. But if my nails are done,
It
What
just
a day.
it just makes
The sky is
that
blue.
Maybe it's vanity.
the flowers smell great.
smells so good.
Like, and you know how tedious it is to do your nails? You can sit for
Four.
hours. 4 hours.
hours.
It's tedious, but I've never felt like I don't want to do it again because it's no. I enjoy it.
I will book out the whole day. Like
Thank
that
you.
will be my program for the
Yeah.
whole day. What are you doing today, Candy? I'm doing my nails.
Yeah. So beyond
Yeah.
that, of course there are people who don't like doing their nails, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But beyond that, what do you think was God's design
For a woman.
for a woman?
Okay, so I know a lot of us understand the first woman being a result of Adam needed a woman. At least that's the misconception, I'll call it. But you had touched on this a bit in Genesis 1:26
and 7.
Yeah, it says, then God said, let us make man in our own image and our likeness. They will rule over the fish, the sea, so God created man in his own image. He created them in the image of God. He created them male and female. And as I was reading it this time, I was like, so God did not then think of creating a woman because he had created Adam. He intended to create man and woman. Like Eve was not a result of, oh, okay, Adam is alone. He doesn't like any of the animals. Let's now make Eve. Because that's usually that story that,
the
you
story
know, he
that's
looked for
told.
all, but because this is Genesis 1 before he creates man. So while he's creating man, he's creating woman, and for the purpose of in the image of God, in our likeness. How they play out, who comes first, who is created first, who is created next, is not what defines a woman. Because then it will take us to the bias we were talking about earlier, that when we think about a woman, the fact that the first woman that existed as a wife, like she doesn't have
She
season of
arrived
singleness.
already.
Thank
Oh,
you.
we talked about it before the episode
Yes,
started.
yeah. Then it makes it look like her purpose in life was to be Adam's wife.
Yeah.
That's what she was created. That's when we first see a woman. But a woman is in God's mind during creation, while he's saying, let us make man in our image, male and female, he created them. So that's, what was your question again? Because I think I've answered. Yeah. So that's I think God's design for a woman. It goes back to him creating a human being. I think there is the misunderstanding because the word the Bible uses the word man when it's talking about
Both of them
to mean a human being. So when it says that, let's make man, a lot of people like only consider it
Assume.
for the man, but a woman wasn't. I don't know if I'm making. I feel
She
like I
was
need
in
to create-
God's original thought and plan.
While he was creating, that was like God's design was, I'm going to create male and female. And why? For the image of God, like to create them in our image, in our likeness.
Yes.
So yeah.
So okay.
I think
I guess it makes sense because the first one seems like he created and then he was like, it's not.
Yeah. Oh,
But
but,
you see-
it's not good for Adam.
no, but
to
you see,
be
it
alone.
comes much later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Genesis 1:26 and 7 is the first time that we hear about a woman, and the first aspect in which God introduces a woman, as Phoebe shared, is man and woman created to reflect his image, because it says, and he made man and woman, and both of them together reflect the image of God. And I think that is why I don't think man alone reflects the image of God.
Yeah, it doesn't,
and
yeah.
woman alone
Also doesn't.
also does not
Yes.
reflect the image
Yeah.
of God. I think that it is incomplete without either of the two. And so both are essential. So the purpose, the reason for their creation was to reflect the image of God.
Yes.
And that means, you see, like when someone is created for a purpose, like if let's say you're a if you're a broom and you're not sweeping, you're not doing what you were created to do, you get so if you're a woman and you're not reflecting God's image, you're not doing what you were created to do. I do think that in what you are created to do, women have unique and distinct aspects of God that they reflect, and so do men. But
So
that
can
is
we
not
get
the
into
purpose.
Maybe the aspect
Yeah.
No.
to bring it to life, because like Phoebe said earlier, we're talking about when you want to read about womanhood, or when people are talking about womanhood, usually they'll reference Proverbs 31. But that text is talking about
a wife who doesn't exist. I like to
anyway, because it's saying a noble wife who can find a virtuous, and it talks about a wife. So even in the description, she wakes up early to make breakfast for her household. It's all wife. Yeah. Clearly, she has children.
Yeah.
Don't know which household you're making breakfast for.
So she's a mother. But what about the woman who's neither a wife or a mother? Does it mean that if you never marry or never have kids, then you're just for?
Yeah.
Which I don't think is true.
Definitely.
So we're talking about like how the conversation needs to shift. Like, as a woman, because you're in God, like you're complete. Like you have all you need as a woman, whether you have a husband or not, whether you have kids,
children
or not. And I'm saying that as a person who has a husband
and
a child, because sometimes it's easy, especially the way life is. It's easy to feel like when I get married and have kids, that's
as a
when
woman.
Now I'll be who God has called. Like you make that the purpose. And not the goal and not a gift. Because I do think women have the unique gift and privilege of being wives. And that is a gift God can give you, but there are multiple gifts he has to give. We have the unique gift, and gifts usually are responsibilities of being mothers, and that can be one of the gifts he has given you. You have the unique gift and ability maybe to be of service. Maybe you could be a teacher in a school. Maybe God has given you the gift and the privilege to serve him, maybe through music,
or it can be a counselor.
So I think that they are unique gifts that are given to women, and motherhood and being a wife are part of those gifts, but they're not the purpose. They're not why you were created. And God is the giver of gifts. So he gives, he chooses, trust, and he chooses. So trust and believe he has given you, and the desire is that as women we'll appreciate the gifts we have been given, even if they don't look like the gifts other women have been given.
And I like that you call them gifts, because again, marriage is being made to look like the reward. Like if you're a good single woman, you may earn the marriage, a good man, a good godly man. Like to get there, like it's as if a reward. But I like that you rightfully mentioned it's a gift. And the thing with a gift, it's not about who deserves it, who has earned it. The giver chooses who to give.
Some very unrighteous women have received these gifts as the Lord so pleased. He has gifted them.
And anyway, when you think about it,
wonderful children.
Who is deserving? When you think about it, in the
none of us.
Who?
None of us.
I actually don't like that word.
No one is deserving. So it's really by grace.
On birthdays, people are like, may you get everything you deserve. I'm like,
what do you deserve?
Hellfire.
Do you know what?
Because the truth is, if we get into what we really deserve,
we deserve to burn in hell. We definitely do.
But God is gracious. So, but it also doesn't mean that maybe God loves you less if you don't get the gifts that. But I know that in the society, I think the society that we are in, it's okay to have the desire, I think, to marry.
It's good
to have children. It's a good thing. But I think the task is not letting it consume you, not wanting that gift more than the giver.
True.
Yeah. Because the giver is the goal. Besides, there will be no marriage in heaven. So like
exactly.
So like so when you what happens after? Last time when I was asking you guys and I was thinking about it, like our reward is God.
True.
He's our true reward. And
greatest gift.
When you reach heaven, and your true reward is just being with God.
Will you be happy?
Will heaven be really heaven for you?
Will you be happy that you're in heaven?
Like when you think about heaven as like the idea of heaven is that you're with God. Is that enough for you, or you'll be like, where is my ring?
It's not something you've cultivated to enjoy.
Where is my crown with diamonds? Where is my mansion?
Because that's what you're looking at.
Where's my mansion?
It reminds me, like there was a period of time I was struggling quite time, and I don't even know why I could call it quiet time, because ideally all time should be God's time. And I read some things that said, if you're struggling to spend time with God here on earth, your
What makes
favorite
you
thing
think?
to do is not to spend time with God while you're here.
What
And
are you gonna
somehow you are convinced that you want to go to heaven. Like you clearly
You
don't,
sure you
because
want?
what's there
Is spending
is
time with
spending
God.
time with God. And so if spending time with God is a chore for you, Candy, you just might need to reevaluate some things, you get. So God being the true reward, he really has to be that.
Because he is. It's not even
And
a thing
nothing
of
else.
please try to make to see that he's the reward. He is actually the reward. When you think about all these other things that you can attain down here, and then what?
Yeah. But it's also a constant prayer, because the reality of it is
true.
As very wretched sinners, it doesn't often feel that way, but our God is gracious and merciful. And I think just like the man that met Jesus prayed, help my unbelief, I think it is also a prayer that we can make to our gracious God. It's a prayer that I do make,
I have
help
made
me
that
desire
prayer,
you
to
above
enjoy.
all else,
Like
to
there's
enjoy
desire,
you.
but I've
Help
made that
me
prayer
enjoy
to
you.
enjoy spending time with
Yes.
God, because
Yeah.
like I'm sure almost every Christian has gone through it. Why you're spending time with God, but as a thing to tick off, like okay, I did it
it's a
today.
struggle.
Even tomorrow, okay, I did it. I did it. But you can, and I think that it's okay to make that prayer and say, God, I want to enjoy spending time with you. And let me tell you, he will answer the prayer, because I know that I've come to, if there's a prayer that God answers, it is when you're asking for him.
When you ask for him,
Thank you.
When you ask for him,
that is the prayer that he answers.
he said delight in
Literally.
delight
Ask and
delight
you'll
in me.
receive. How
All
much
that is
more
for him.
will he give the Holy Spirit when we ask?
And when you ask that, and God so graciously allowed me to enjoy spending time with him, and like if you're out there and you're just thinking, you guys, it's hard. 5 minutes in, I'm just like, when is this ending? Ask your father. Like, it's not like he doesn't know. You think it's a secret? He knows.
Right?
But more than him knowing, he wants it to.
Yes.
He wants it. Like he wants you more than you want him.
And he wants to help you want him. Philippians 2:13 is one of the verses that freed me, because it was, he gives you both the desire to the will and the power. I want to go there. He gives you both the will and the power to do it, something like that. So like he didn't just give you the power to do something, he also gives you the desire, the will. I was like, I could ask for this. Like, I can be honest with you.
Be like,
I'm
yes,
struggling.
I'm
The
struggling, but I
problem is
really
that we
want
think
to.
that the thing is in our head and God doesn't yet know.
But also we think there are some things that we have to get for ourselves. Like there are some things we can do in our mind. Like we don't acknowledge that even the ability to choose God is a gift from God himself.
Here it is. 2:13 Philippians, for it is God who is working in you both to will and to work according to his good purpose. So what made you think that even your little this, because you're like, I used to want you, help me. Who told you that was you even in the beginning?
It was a gift from him.
Now we digressed.
We digressed very, very fast.
But back to those aspects of God that as women we, what did we call it? Do we represent, or the unique things, the unique things that God has given us as women? Let's get into it. I don't know if that ties into, okay, maybe we'll get into like our God-given responsibilities as women, but we can first, tackle. So all this digression was to just say, beyond marriage and motherhood, like
you are a woman and God created you for a purpose by creating you as a woman. Goes back to one of the things I was saying at first when you asked us our favorite things about being women. What throughout the Bible, the most, well, I would say I get them the most because I'm a woman, but the intimate moments with Jesus, only women cracked that code. That there is that I don't know if it's the gift of our emotions, and I'm please don't use these words that I'm saying men don't have emotions. Like I said, there's probably a podcast out there talking about men and how I don't understand them, so I don't know there are things, but I'm speaking for a woman. There is a strength of emotion. I don't know if that makes sense. A surge of emotion that we have, and we get to live that out towards God. Like there is a passion. I don't know if it adds up, but I'll give examples of like Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus. There's a prostitute woman who was sitting at Jesus' feet, washing his feet with her tears. No, this one was with her tears and with her tears and her hair. And one of the Pharisees whispered to each other that if this guy was really the Son of God, he would have known the kind of woman
that she's a prostitute.
Yes, and then Jesus tells a parable of if someone has been forgiven 50 denaries, I don't know if the currency they were using, and someone has been forgiven, I think 5,000, who will appreciate it more? And they were like, the one obviously who has been forgiven much. And he says, the one who has been forgiven much will love more. But I think women have an advantage of expressing that towards God. There is a surge. The words failed, but I promise you will get it. As a woman, I'm sure you get it. There is that privilege you have, and I know we're in a generation nowadays that is also encouraging men to embrace their soft side, which they should, but there is a place they cannot reach because they are not women.
Candy.
I think they are unique gifts, I said, that you will speak to as a wife and a mother, but I think one of the unique gifts is to glorify God. I just wanted to share from, I think, Isaiah 43, 6-7, and it speaks to us, the Christians, who have been created and how we were created for God's glory. I think, let me just pull it up real quick. But I think that why that is so important is because as a woman, one of your key roles and one of you, like your purpose, is to glorify God in everything that you do. So as a woman, whether you are a child, a lady, whatever stage of life it is that you're in, whether you are a woman that's going to be that's going to be celibate for life, and that's going to pursue God, your life can glorify God, and your life can be a testimony to God's central goal, which is reconciliation through Christ. Because the whole Bible, I think, meets at the point of Christ and the sacrifice that he made for us. And that sacrifice is centered around the analogy or the truth of the church being the bride of Christ and the groom giving his life for the bride. And I think that's also one of the aspects that women play and womanhood plays in God's picture. I think that the church is Christ's bride, but as a woman, you are a replica of that bride. You have the privilege of being that replica. And I think you can replicate that in two ways. As a married woman, you are definitely a bride, but also as a single woman, you also still emulate that being part of God's family, and God's family doesn't grow through procreation alone, but through faith. Through faith in Jesus, you can nurture the people in the church. Deborah was a woman that she grew up. There was a time where the army of Israel didn't have enough strong men to fight, and she raised up a generation of men that were able to fight. So as a woman, whether a single woman or a married woman, you can be a nurturer for the kingdom of Christ, for Christ's bride, for that church. And you show that it's the family of Christ is through faith, not just through procreation. And I think that is a unique ability that a woman has, and a unique contribution to the church and to God's glory and to salvation that you can make.
I like that because every time we talk about women being nurturers, we think of it in terms of children.
Yeah.
Not
But
children.
That's not
Biological
the
children,
only
yeah.
way we can nurture.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's people in the
Yeah.
church that could use the gifts that you
Yeah.
That you have as a
that you have
woman.
as a woman, that you can use them for your children, but you can also use them to care for
Yeah.
the other
To
people.
raise up people and
And I was
nurture.
also thinking about like making disciples.
Making disciples.
Making
for
disciples
sure.
100%. Like that's like not just for men. Like
Yeah.
as a woman, there are many younger women
Bible actually
than
says
you
the older
who
women teach
Teach
the
the younger women.
So you can disciple, get few women around you, younger
Yeah.
women, teach
And
them
if you're
the word,
25 and
disciple
you're saying
them.
I'm not older, there is a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah,
You're
exactly
an older
like you
woman
would
in
do
her
for
life.
children.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
yes, of course, we can't ignore that, like motherhood and
Yeah.
also being a wife. Like those are also unique things. Like a woman can't carry a child and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when you have that child, the Bible encourages us to raise those children in the ways of the Lord and to
yeah.
teach them. Like it's a responsibility.
Yeah.
But even if you don't have children of your own, there's so many young children. Like so now, like us in Uganda, this country is like one big kindergarten. Like majority of the people in this country, like
Know each
are
other.
young.
Yeah,
Are
they're
young.
Yeah, yeah.
We're
It's that
doing
thing
this
of
thing
population
and
IO
population
thing.
IO.
I'm
and
older than 66%.
I think mine was
Ugandan.
73%. I'm older than 73%.
73%
Of
of
the
Ugandans
country,
are younger
yes.
than us.
Yes.
Yes, you get, and I'm
Yeah.
27.
Crazy.
So like,
Yeah.
just imagine
I'm
how
not
many
turned 24
youngins are
yet.
there.
Yeah.
Like
That's
so, like there are
crazy.
many young people that you could disciple, you could teach the word of God.
Yeah.
But even as a mother, when it speaks to nurturing your children, I think the unchristian perspective is give them what to eat, make sure they are bathed. But nurturing children in the way of the Lord is
Of the Lord,
still
yeah.
It's
still
more than
about
that.
teaching them and showing them through your life, but also in how you raise them. And to live for Christ, to be people after God's heart. And so the same way you nurture your children, it's the same way that you nurture everyone around you. It's the same way that you disciple, share Jesus with people, just like you are expected to share Jesus with your children as a mother, but also just as you're expected to share Jesus with your spouse as a wife.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk about specifically motherhood in the future, but for kids especially, modeling what being a Christian looks like is so important. Like you will say do this, but what they see you do is what they will pick the most.
Yeah, true.
Like let them see you read the word, let them see you pray,
Let them see
like,
you forgive.
let them
people
see
that have
you
hurt
be
you.
kind.
Yeah.
Like they need. I read a story of this babe whose son at school, as a kid who he never used to come with lunch. So he told the kid, my mom will not mind packing 2 lunches for me, don't worry, I got you. And the mom was like, it's true, so now I pack 2 lunches. But someone was pointing out, like, the fact that your son even knew
that
asking,
you're the type
You're
of person that's
such-
gracious.
even then they're generous, they've gotten it from you, but they have
Yeah.
seen, and that they're modeling out what they have seen. So
Yeah.
to also do that for the younger people that we see that are around
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just to add on, I think you are pointing at it. The part we represent in the image of Christ is we have the opportunity of, we know who our bride is. When they say bride, we know it's a woman. And Christ and his bride, that's literally what we are doing right now as we are waiting for Christ's return. We are preparing his bride. We are his bride. And we have the unique advantage of being women who are living out being Christ's bride.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine it's a bit awkward for the guys to identify as
Exactly, like to also prepare themselves for Christ. Like they're going to be brides
they're
too.
not, but we have a unique advantage of actually being a female who is living out,
Understands how a bride ideally would act, and so
and
prepare for
understanding
Christ.
that, because you know how for them, well, those who are going to get married are preparing to represent being Christ and not being the bride.
The
Does
bride,
that make sense?
yeah.
And yet eventually
We're
we are
all
the
the
bride
bride, yeah.
of Christ.
Yeah, so like there are many aspects to this topic. Being a godly woman ties into so many things
so
of our
many-
lives.
so many
how
things.
you dress, how you behave at work, how you. So we're going to try and we'll break it down in the coming episodes and like what does it look like in the workplace, being a godly woman at the workplace? What does it look like
in how you dress?
How does it look like
when you're single, when you're married, when you're
all that
as a mother?
Yeah.
So we'll get into it in the coming episodes. So help us God.
But also make sure that you tune in so that you don't miss more of these conversations.
And don't forget to like,
comment,
and subscribe.
We'd like to actually talk with the women we're actually talking to.
Yeah, and follow us on Instagram, Adeli Girls.
Yeah.
I'll get that handle properly.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for watching or listening. It's been good. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.